Approximately one quarter of adults in Great Britain report feeling lonely at some time, with roughly 7% saying they're feeling lonely often and always. Now, while the figures can vary by survey or specific period of time, this translates to several million people experiencing loneliness in the UK. For example, a period from November 22 to February 2023, an estimated 3.7 million people were feeling lonely often or always. So as we approach the festive period of this year, 2025, loneliness has become a bit of a common subject, hasn't it? It's become part of our conscience every year. Let's face it, we live in the most connected world in our human history. Yet study after study shows that we're lonelier than ever. You can have 5,000 friends online, yet still feel profoundly lonely, especially when you put the phone down. The question is our digital life actually destroying our ability to form meaningful connections? Today, I'm going to tackle yet another mental health challenge, that is combating loneliness in the digital world. I'm going to look at some psychological reasons why we feel lonely yet and yet again, but I'll back it up with some science-based research that I've done. It's all done to help build some inner peace. So welcome to Peace Unplugged again. I think today's episode is pretty much a crucial one, especially for this time of year, and it's proving significantly more and more challenging for more and more people. This loneliness is becoming a public health epidemic, and the cruel paradox of it all is that it's happening in this internet world that we live in. We've had more ways to connect than ever before. I'm going to look at 5 examples of what's making our lives lonelier than before. And as I normally do, I'll reveal some 5 steps I've researched to try and combat this. So first of all, let's look at the social media paradox. Picture this. You're scrolling through Instagram and your feed shows friends at parties, colleagues celebrating promotions, influencers living out their best lives. You have, let's say, 847 followers. You post regularly, you comment, you engage, yet you can feel profoundly alone. Let's face it, it looks like everybody else is having a fabulous time. Is that really authentic? It's effectively a social media paradox, isn't it? And the research I've discovered is pretty alarming. A Baylor University study tracking nearly 7,000 Dutch adults over 9 years revealed that both active social media use, posting, commenting, messaging, and passive use scrolling without engaging led to increased loneliness. The study discovered something unexpected. Active users who engaged frequently reported even higher levels of loneliness than passive scrollers. Research published in the Cross-National Population Study found that high levels of social media use relate not only to loneliness, but to mental distress more generally. It suggests the mechanism is insidious. Passive consumption of content scrolling through feeds without actively engaging has been linked to higher levels of loneliness and depression. And here again is a cruel irony. While increased social media use led to greater feelings of loneliness, people who reported feeling lonely were also more likely to turn to social media. That creates a vicious feedback loop, doesn't it? Technology promised to connect us all, but research suggests otherwise, a kind of another paradox. That's where increasing usage is associated with increasing, not decreasing levels of loneliness. Research here is from Bonsagsen T 2021, Associations between Social Media Use and Loneliness, and Roberts 2025, The Epidemic of Loneliness, a 9-year longitudinal study. Now let's look at the aspect of remote working and the crisis that caused. Here's an example. Sarah logs into her 4th Zoom meeting of the day. She's been working from home for 3 years now. There's no commute. She's got flexible hours. She's got more family time. Let's face it, should be perfect, shouldn't it? It certainly sounds appealing to me. So why does she feel invisible? For COVID-19, very few healthcare workers, that's only 3.1%, worked remotely. But this increased significantly to 96.9% during the pandemic. And that revealed something really quite troubling. Research found that virtual interactions can lead to less collaboration in networks, workers with a diminished sense of belonging, and social and professional isolation. According to a 2022 study, absenteeism attributed to stress and loneliness, and it costs the US employers an estimated 154 billion annually. 50% of employees in the UK experienced loneliness at least once per week in 2022. 19% say isolation is their number one problem at work, and 70% feel left out of their workplace. And the cost isn't just financial. In a 2020 study, nearly 60% of teleworkers reported not having access to certain information because it wasn't communicated in person, with 55% stating they were excluded from meetings due to their physical absence. Hybrid work, thought to be a solution, actually made things worse by creating a two-tier system. That's where remote workers became second-class citizens. References for that are from MIT Sloan Management Review 2022 and Eddy HR Encyclopedia 2024. PMC Healthcare Workers Study 2024. So now let's look at urban loneliness, that feeling of being alone in the crowd. Here's another little example. Marcus lives in London. Billions of people surround him daily. The tube's packed. His flat has around 200 units. His office floor has about 150 colleagues. He's never been more surrounded by people. Yet, he's never felt more alone. This is what's called urban loneliness, and it appears to be a growing epidemic. According to a recent Time Out City Index survey, 55% of Londoners and 52% of New Yorkers reported that their city can feel like a rather lonely place. This paradox defies logic. How can you be lonely yet surrounded by millions? Research suggests that urban dwellers often experience social overload, causing them to retract into their shells and avoid further social interaction. A concept known as social withdrawal. In cities, interactions are frequent, but they're shallow. Daily activities like ordering coffee, riding on the tube train, attending meetings, they rarely become real relationships. Anyone that travels frequently by train, especially when commuting, knows how what we do is we refuse to make eye contact, and we rarely speak to each other. We tend to be lost in our own thoughts about the working day. I used to commute years ago. I witnessed this hidden protocol, this non-communication that happened mostly in the mornings. It suggested that architecture itself makes this problem worse. Urban planning designs and infrastructure significantly impact social interactions, suggesting sprawling layouts, lack of public spaces, poor pedestrian areas. All these can discourage social encounters, and they stop opportunities for people to connect. The percentage of adults that say they are lonely has apparently doubled since the 1980s, from 20% to 40%. Cities promise opportunity and culture, but the large cross-cultural comparison of rural and urban areas in developed countries found that urban living raises the risk of mood disorders by 39%. Reference for this: Centre of Urban Design and Mental Health, 2024. Time Out City Index, Roots of Loneliness Project. Next, we'll look at the face-to-face deficit. During the pandemic lockdowns, billions of people worldwide attempted to replace in-person interactions with video calls, text messages, and social media. Let's face it, we had the technology. I guess we thought we'd adapted, but there was something fundamental missing. A 4-week experience sampling study in the German-speaking countries with over 411 participants, 9,791 daily questionnaires, found that digital communication was far less relevant for mental health than face-to-face communication. Remarkably, face-to-face communication and digital text communication were more predictive of mental health than either physical or outdoor activity. The video conferencing revelation shocked researchers. Despite providing more visual and audio cues than digital text communications, video conferencing was only negligibly associated with mental health. Why is that, we ask? Video conferencing can apparently cause adverse effects such as mental tiredness, anxiety due to focus on appearance and prolonged eye contact, larger faces due to screen size, and cognitive burden due to slight technological issues. Again, we've all experienced these internet blackouts at a meeting, an online meeting. The connection drops out, the sound gets corrupted. Sometimes you get interruptions where people forget to switch their microphones off. And of course, there's always those people that feel just that little bit more shy when sat in front of a computer on a camera and don't really want to show their faces. In my experience, that sometimes causes some conflict. A cross-national survey during COVID-19 found that younger people's well-being fared particularly badly with high levels of video, phone, or messaging, while all age groups appeared to benefit equally from face-to-face contact. Studies measuring 8 types of interactions found that while voice calling, group calling, and online messaging are associated with increased social connection and positive effect, the benefits of face-to-face interactions consistently eclipsed those of all virtual surrogates. That's a reference to the National Scientific Report 2023, New Media and Society 2024, PMC face-to-face communication studies. Let's look at the epidemic by numbers. Step back for a moment and look at the full scope of the crisis. The numbers show a disturbing picture of how widespread loneliness has become. Early in 2024, 30% of adults experienced feelings of loneliness at least once a week over the past year, while 10% say that they are lonely every day. In 2024, approximately 20% of US adults are experiencing daily loneliness, translating to an estimated 52 million individuals. It appears young people were hit hardest. 30% of Americans aged 18 to 34 reported being lonely every day or several times a week. Single adults are nearly twice as likely as married adults to report weekly loneliness. That's 39% versus 22%. In the demographic of young adults aged 18 to 24, the loneliness rate rises alarmingly, with 59% acknowledging its negative effects on their overall well-being. The health consequences are dire. The US Surgeon General said that negative health effects of loneliness are comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 81% of lonely adults reported anxiety or depression, and about 75% of lonely adults reporting having little or no meaning or purpose. When asked who or what contributes to the loneliness, technology topped the list at 73%, followed by families not spending enough time together at 66%, people working too much or being too busy or exhausted at 62%, and mental health challenges hurting relationships at 60%. This is not an individual problem. It's reported to be a societal epidemic, and it requires urgent attention. References: American Psychiatric Association Healthy Minds Monthly Poll 2024, United States Surgeon General's Advisory 2023, Harvard Making Caring Common Project 2024. So explored 5 devastating ways that modern life, especially online and digital, is making us lonelier. But now let's look at 5 evidence-based solutions. Number 1, intentional daily connection. The solution people endorse most is available to almost all of us. Taking time each day to reach out to a friend or family member. Make it a daily ritual, a phone call, not a text. Better yet, why don't we just meet in person? Number 2, the big challenge: limit social media. And to that end, prioritize real interaction. Experimental research showed that students whose social media was limited to 10 minutes per day over 3 weeks experienced significant reduction in depression and loneliness compared to control groups who use social media without restriction, suggesting that we set boundaries. Use apps to track and limit scrolling time. Number 3, redesign our work-life balance. It suggested that organizations should implement weekly meetings between managers and remote employees, addressing not only task performance, but also emotional well-being. and develop structural virtual programs aimed at integration and socialization. I'll state this should not just be a tick box exercise, but a real dedicated process that is given proper and careful attention. If you work remotely, advocate for what's called hybrid schedules and make for intentional in-person team gatherings and meetings. Number 4, engage with your physical community. 75% of adult respondents reported that finding ways to help others, such as during community service or caring for others, that this would reduce their loneliness. So join local groups, volunteer, attend community events. Frankly, this is how I manage now, especially having taken early retirement. I'm involved with health and well-being in my own village. I've even decided to join the local guild of players, and I'll be appearing in pantomime in the new year 2026. Three-quarters of those surveyed wanted more activities and fun community events where they live, and public spaces that are more accessible and connected, focused on green spaces and playgrounds. Number 5, prioritize face-to-face whenever possible. Technology mediated communication is not capable of being a substitute for face-to-face communication. Why not have a face-to-face coffee morning instead of a Zoom call? Decide to walk with a friend instead of just texting them. The power of personal interaction cannot fully be replicated by the digital interaction. Loneliness is not a personal failure. It's a challenge requiring all of us to be involved. The irony here is profound. We live in the most connected era in human history, yet we're experiencing this kind of epidemic of disconnection. Tools we created to bring us together appear to be driving us apart, but there is hope. Getting together as human beings can provide those important connections, and that will crucially relieve loneliness. Meetings with purpose. They will help to stop the mental health challenges. Every meaningful connection you make, every intentional conversation, every act of reaching out really matters. Remember this, loneliness is not a destiny. It's a signal one that we can choose to answer with compassion, with intention and genuine human connection. So until next time, log off, reach out and reconnect. Or like the title of the album that I played in my band, Beggar's Belief, that is, tune out, turn off, and drop in. Wishing you all blessings and peace. Until the next time. Bye for now from Martin.